Good morning to all of you. Welcome to our Tuesday Namaste Lake Chapala session. Wonderful to see and feel all of you as we do so often. We began singing that song, that beautiful chant, "The peace of God is shining in me now. Why wait for heaven? Why wait for heaven when all you're really doing is closing your eyes and refusing to see who you've always been and where you've always been?" Is it really that simple? Of course it is. The truth within you is always true. That's all we need to realize, that you can't change the truth about you. You can create a whole cloud of illusions to hide it. You can close your eyes and deny it, but the truth within you is true forever. That's the only thing you need to know. That should be the only information that you need to let go of everything that seems contrary and just release into the heaven of your own perfection, your own eternal holiness and grace. It really is that simple. And yet we have built these castles in this armor to protect ourselves from that simplicity, from seeing how easy it is to slip right in and to hold ourselves in that grace, to be in heaven now. Why? At this point, who cares? We don't need to figure that out. All we need to do is to relax and to allow. And that's all we talk about here at Namaste every day. Just relax, surrender, allow this to be true. What if the truth were true? How would that change you? How would that change the way that you look at the world, your brothers and your sisters, every situation in your life, if you realize how simple salvation really is? Just open your eyes and see what has always been right in front of you. Heaven. Why wait? And that's what we're going to talk about today. Why would we wait for heaven? You know, I remember when I was a kid, I used to play this funny little game because it did something to my brain. And I think maybe you can relate to this. It challenged my brain to try to perceive what cannot be perceived in separation, but what is always perceived in wholeness. What I would do, my parents, of course, being good Catholics, would tell me that God has always existed, always, and will always exist. So what I would try and do in my mind is try to imagine what that means, that God has always existed. So I would go back in time, no, before that, no, before that, no, before that, no, before, no. And then there would come a point where it's almost like my brain would explode and it would feel so good. I really enjoyed that feeling because I couldn't perceive of forever always having existed, because I thought always having existed that forever meant a very long time. I thought that it meant like forever time. But you see, this is where we go in our brain, and our brain cannot perceive or conceive of every time, every now, everywhere. And I would love to do this, and it was just this funny little thing, and I loved the feeling that it created. And it helped me at that time to understand this personalized God. Remember, we talked about this a week or so ago, the 3 stages of our religious experience. I say religious because this is more in a religious context than it is a spiritual context. How in, say, the Old Testament, the beginning of our Judeo-Christian sort of belief. Of course, this is not just for those 2 particular religions, but for pretty much all religions. But it always begins with the imperial God. If you read the book of Psalms and many of the Old Testament books, you'll come right in contact with this imperial God that is smiting the enemy and challenging the chosen people of Israel. And if you don't do what I tell you to do, you're going to be smote. Is smote a word? I think it is. You're going to be smited. I don't know. As well. So we start off with this really heavy imperial God that is watching over us and punishing us. But then someone like Jesus comes along and says, no, God is not that. God is a God of love and becomes very personal, loving us, giving to us all good things. And this is definitely a step in the right direction. But now we've come to the next level of our evolution within the experience of what divinity really is, which is not the imperial, not the personal, but the impersonal. God is not a being. God is not something outside of you. God is everywhere, everyone, everything, every moment. We, once again, cannot conceive of this in our minds. We can try, and it might feel very interesting like it did when I was a child, but we can't go there. That's why we always say, don't try and figure this out. Let it figure you out. You cannot perceive of everything all at once because you still think that all at once or forever is a very long time. It has nothing to do with time. It is really the absence of time and space and distance. Everything that I and you have claimed within this separate split identity that we think is so real. But if we let it all go, if we surrender, if we just allow grace to take hold of us, if we throw ourselves into that current and let it take us, we find ourselves in an experience. We realize that heaven is everywhere all at once right now. I don't have to die to get there. I have to live to get there. That's the key. We've been told that we have to die to get into heaven. How absurd that we would be in a situation where we would be expected to suffer sickness, pain, and death to get into a state of wholeness and oneness. No, you don't have to die to be in heaven. You need to come alive. You need to live to be in heaven. So I picked out one little sentence that I found this morning that we're going to use to continue our discussion. So let me share that with you now. It says, heaven is not a place, nor is it a condition. It's not a place out there, and nor is there any condition that you have to fulfill to be in heaven. It is merely an awareness of perfect oneness, an awareness. That's the key. Heaven is not a place, it's not a condition, it's an awareness of what? Perfect oneness. It's an experience, not an idea. Once again, you can't get that in your mind. It's me being a kid trying to understand what forever is in my mind. I can't. And the same thing with this. You cannot experience or understand. You cannot understand perfect oneness, but you can experience it. And that's all we are doing here. We are opening to the experience, allowing the experience through surrendering, through falling back into the arms of grace. Okay. Heaven is not a place nor a condition. It is merely the awareness of perfect oneness and the knowledge that there is nothing else. The knowledge that there is nothing else, nothing outside this oneness and nothing else within. That's one of those statements similar to what I would try and do when I was a kid. Try and grok that, try and understand that. There's nothing else outside and there's nothing else within. What could that possibly mean? I don't know. I don't have to figure it out. All I know is something I feel something when I hear that. There's something that sparked within me. Follow that. Follow that feeling. That's going to take you much further than trying to figure it out intellectually. The feeling that is inspired within you when you realize that there is nothing outside this oneness and there is nothing else within. It is what it is. It is a whole, full, total experience that I can enjoy right here and right now. As soon as I give up my need to do this on my own, as soon as I give up my need to figure this out or to accomplish something other than everything, And so that's why the only thing we really talk about here is that experience. How does that experience get sparked within us? Maybe it's this. It's going to be different for each one of us, but you're going to hear something, whether it be you hear it from Vicky or Teddy or Baraka or me or whoever else it may be. You're going to hear something that sparks a light. It's like turning on a light switch inside you. And when that light goes on, suddenly you look around and you see, oh my gosh, it really was that simple. It really was all around me every moment. So just pay attention to what you're feeling. And when you feel, when you sense that experience beginning to spark inside you, follow that. Go deeper into that. Allow that to take over everything. Allow God to become so completely impersonal that it becomes everything. That's what happens when we experience the impersonal divinity. It becomes everything. Not just a certain thing, but everything all at once. And that's what we're here for. So, Vicky, it's all yours, darling. Take it over. It's like handing you the baton.
Thank you, Jimmy. So one of the sparks in my life in the last so many years has been the peace of God is shining in me now. And when you sang that song to me on the phone one day, that was just like when I heard the corona, everybody had to stay home. The call went out and I heard the call, and it still sparks my soul. It shifted me right away into my soul. And I think most of us have many experiences of where we've been sparked and slipped into our soul. And then there is nothing but that field of unity, that field of holiness, of oneness, of knowledge. You know that it's safe and it's happy and it's whole and it's everything, but we discount it. So thanks for singing that this morning, because it reminded me how simple this is for all of us to find where the spark has been all our lives. When I was a little kid, I remember thinking, God could not make a place where big fish ate little fish. I knew it wasn't true. I knew, and then I'd follow it. Well, if he didn't make a place where big fish eat little fish, he couldn't make a place where people get sick and have to go be dead to find him. Or they couldn't go be a place where you have to mow the lawn every week. Who did all this? But what would happen is I would slip into that field again. The soul slip. It's a soul slip. And I bet all of us have places that have sparked that slip into our soul, and maybe we discount them. And maybe now is the time to recognize them, appreciate them, and use them. Because once we slip into our soul is that unified field, and it comes with full knowledge, not knowledge of things, knowledge of everything, knowledge of the unity of nothing but oneness, where there's no opposite. And when we look outside of ourselves in time, that's that trick of duality. We keep thinking we can do it better, or there's another way, or we have opinion about this, an opinion about that. But all of it is an opinion that we're separate. And that's the only correction that was ever needed. So it doesn't matter if someone's opinion is good or bad. None of them are true, because all of them are about a state that isn't true. All we have to do is slip into our soul with it, whatever sparks us. That's the yellow brick road. That's follow the fire. What sparks us? Where did the spark take hold in us? Maybe for many right here on this call, for many with much of your music, Jimmy, for many, who knows what, a sunset, something, a sunrise. But we have experiences, all of us. And if we can devote every moment to that spark, to slipping into our soul, then we know how to walk here in time. It's like it becomes our natural joy to give of that feeling, that beingness, without any obstacle. So look for the sparks where, and for me, wherever it is, certain music, I love Gregorian chant. That slips me right into my soul. All those years in convents from who knows how many lifetimes. But all of us have the the places that remind us of who we are. Who we are is the answer to no matter what seems to be happening out here. That's how we stay connected rather than try to fix and deal with things first. Seek ye first, I guess. Seek ye first. Slip into your soul. Where's the spark? So,
Okay. Well, guess what I just did? I
what
wrote,
did you do?
I wrote a song just now.
Oh, good. Let's hear it.
Here it is. Okay, I bet you can guess the first line.
Slip into your soul.
Just slip into your soul. Remember you are whole. Just know that you are loved. Let me lift you high above. Slip into your soul. Just remember you are whole. Know that you are loved, and I will lift you so high above. This crazy world.
Thank you. Great. Woohoo.
That's how it works. It's like creation is happening every moment. We just have to follow it. We can write a
Right.
song in 5 seconds. Why not? I remember
Right.
when I was putting the all of the lessons from A Course in Miracles to music. Of course, the first one was lesson 188, "The peace of God is shining in me now," and that's when I called up Vicky and sang it to her or played it for you or somehow. And I said, "What do you think of me putting all of these to music, all 365?" And you felt the immediate yes. I felt it, and I think on average, when I would write them, on average they took 3 seconds maybe, because they would have, just like that one, even before I wrote it down, it was already in my mind. And the same is true for us. It's already in our mind. We don't need to write it down. Just start singing. Just start celebrating. It's already there. You're already home. You don't need to do anything. Heaven is everywhere all at once, in you, all around you. There's nothing but that. What is that line again? Heaven is not a place nor a condition. It is merely an awareness of perfect oneness and the knowledge that there is nothing else, nothing outside this oneness and nothing else within. How simple is salvation. Wow. Thank you, Vicky. Okay, Teddy, would love to hear what you have to share.
Um, well, first thing I'd like to say, we already sharing eternity now. Um, and what happens to me, and when you immediately begin talking, the realization comes again that time and eternity cannot coexist, and only one can be real. And that's the logic around which the entire Course of Miracles is based. And when you accept the reality of the eternal, you're negating the ability for time to exist. So everything of time is non existent, which is why we can use the process of negation on everything that's temporal and arrive back at the experience of the eternal. It is also why we cannot avoid that nagging sensation of knowing there's more, because the eternal is true about us all, and because it isn't a long time and doesn't take time at all. It's an ever presence that's trying to make itself known to us because we're trying to know who we are. So I'm sort of in this experience of remembering the eternal, and it's hard to get words out to make sense of anything at all when I'm that way. But the funny thing about it is there are a lot of people who I've talked to, and they think that you need to be born in time to become eternal. Like you start, like when you're born, oh, now I can go to be eternal. Or when I die, then I can become eternal. And the entire process of coming to the awareness of who we are is based on the negation of what's not true, because only the not true can be negated. And I know I'm sort of repeating myself, and I know I'm not making a whole lot of sense, but when my mind opens up and I begin to see the eternal, it's like something happens in my forehead and the top of my head, and everything but that disappears. Now, it's not that I don't see bodies and stuff, it's just that the awareness of the eternal presence of who we are as God creating. This is another thing. We're not God, we are God creating. And so I'm sort of in that moment. And there's not a whole lot I can really say, but there's everything for us to be and share as one right here, right now.
I love that feeling that you're describing. And it's the same feeling I was describing when I was talking about being a kid and trying to keep pushing out further and further and further. And there just gets to the point where your brain just goes, ah, there are no words. And I can say words and I can express what's coming to me or coming through me, but they're never going to come close. But maybe they'll inspire what I call the Holy Spirit tickle. Suddenly you feel this effervescence, and you, like you said, your forehead begins to open up, or your crown chakra begins to open up, and there are no words. There's no relationship between that experience and this world. But just go with it. There doesn't need to be. Stop trying to harness it and bring it back into time. Let it take you out of time. That's what you have to do.
I mean, the best that anybody can do, even Jesus in A Course in Miracles, is get you to begin to question what you believe.
Yes.
That's it. And give you a rationale for why it's not true.
Yes.
Then that's like the catalyst, and it takes over. And you'll never be the same again, but you'll always be exactly as you are.
Yeah. You'll always be exactly as you were. The first 50 lessons of the workbook are all about that. Just, you don't know what anything is. Accept that. That's a good thing. You thought you did, you didn't. And it's a good thing that now you realize that you can't make sense of this. There is no sense to this. Stop trying to figure it out. I know I say that every day, but what else is there to say?
And that's one of the reasons why he tries to get you to look at a specific incident in your own mind where the outcome wasn't what you thought it was going to be. So you see that not everything is as you think. And once that the questioning becomes true in your mind, you can begin to question everything from a position of not knowing, but not knowing in the sense where you're wrong or you're not right. Not knowing in the sense that you now that's what I guess that's what we call learning.
Wow, very cool. What a great session. Thank you, Teddy. Thank you, Vicky. Let's slip out to our dear family here at Namaste. I want to spotlight you guys. Good morning, Ravi.
Morning.
And who would like to share something this morning? Boy, we got a small group out there. Where's everybody today? Everybody.
Beach.
Oh, people are at the beach. Oh, that'll be nice. Anyone want to share anything? Don't all jump up at once. Or are you just feeling that Holy Spirit tickle and that divine effervescence that just removes all thought and all need to think? Okay, I'm going to call on somebody. How about Neil? Neil, I don't think you've ever come up and shared anything.
Okay.
All right, you come up. Good morning.
The thing you just thing you just said. You
Whatever.
nailed it. You
Oh.
nailed it. There's nothing more to say.
Yeah,
Just feeling it,
feel it.
feeling it with these mighty companions, and grateful to be here.
And that is the beauty of this joining. Whether we're joining on Zoom as we are, we've got 65 people on Zoom. You know, however many people were sitting there at Namaste, and it's the joining, it's the sharing, it's the extending of that flame, of that holy effervescence that keeps it alive and moving. And you're right. I don't know what to say. Teddy doesn't know what to say. None of us know what to say. There is nothing to say, just to feel, just to keep extending out further and further. Thank you, Neil.
Right on. Thank you.
Anyone else want to share anything? Yes, Ravi, come on over.
I thought that you might call up. I thought that you might call on me, and what I was going to say is, I am just running out of words. But I thought if you did call on me, this is what I was going to say. There's a new pandemic. There's this extremely contagious virus. Nothing could stop it. There's no vaccine that could stop it. It's the virus of love. It's all consuming. It's a intense fire that will consume everything unlike itself.
Amen.
That's what I share.
Yes. Love is the extending of only that. And we know that even in time, how important that is. It has nothing to do with time, but even here, it's everything. You know, Teddy said that we as God are always extending. We're always extending that which extended us. So it's just one endless extension of love. And at this time, if there is any well, there isn't any reality to it, but we do find ourselves here. It's only to keep extending that love. And tomorrow is going to be a very big day in the United States anyway. Tomorrow is the inauguration of a new president and vice president and the leaving of an old administration. And a lot of people are worried about that. We've seen a lot of really very divisive stuff, but the answer is always love. The answer is always just stay in that place. Don't try and do anything else. The highest value that any of us can have is just to keep in that loving, extending place, no matter what. That's the key, no matter what. Oh, I should have taken the spotlight off. Okay, there we go. So thank you. Anyone else at Namaste want to share anything before we head to the Zoom room? Okay, let's go ahead and head over to the Zoom room. Good morning to all of you. Yes, Alice, please go right ahead.
Ravi, that's so sweet what you said. It reminds me of a Hafiz poem, and it goes like this. I caught the happy virus last night when I was standing under the stars. It's extremely contagious, so kiss me quickly. But Jimmy, I also wanted to share something from Helen Schuckman. And I wanted to share this anyway today, but it's incredibly relevant to what everybody's been saying. So the words from Helen today too. It's called The Inner Light, and it's not very long. I'm going to read it slowly because it's every word, there's something in it. The inner light. The time will come when time is meaningless and place is nowhere. All our concepts wait, but their appointed ending. They uphold a dream with no dimensions. At the gate of heaven, are they merely laid aside before the blazing of the light within? Do you want me to reread that?
Yes, please, one more time.
Okay, it's called The Inner Light. Okay, sometimes it's good to reread something to
Yes.
emphasize it. The inner light. The time will come when time is meaningless and place is nowhere. And place is nowhere. All our concepts wait but their appointed ending. They uphold a dream with no dimensions. At the gate of heaven, are they merely laid aside before the blazing of the light within?
Hmm, that's perfect. Thanks for reading it again. It goes even deeper.
Yeah,
Thank you, Alice.
you're welcome.